Why customers quit? 1% die. That'll do it. 3% of them move away. 5% develop personal relationships that take their business elsewhere. Here are the big ones. 9% of the people that quit doing business with you or me or this hotel or whoever, 9% of them tend to do so because of price, 14% because they were not happy with the product or service, 68% because of a perceived attitude of indifference by somebody. If you make a mistake, I will forgive that to a point. I will forgive that. But if anybody in your organization gives me the idea that you don't care that you made the mistake, whoa, you just crossed that line in the sand. I will fire you in a heartbeat, and I probably won't come back, because that is the unforgivable sin. And the sad thing is, it can happen in an organization that means well, has a clear vision, and even trains well. I'll give you an example. I do a lot of work with the fast food industry. I do work with a company like McDonald's, and let me tell you something, on training and consistent quality, McDonald's nails it most all the time. They are very, very good at what they do. That's why I use them as an example, because this is the exception to the rule. Even a McDonald's can have somebody that drops the ball and that doesn't get it anymore. What can happen looks like this. A couple of years ago, I was going to give a speech in Ocean City, Maryland. I'm flying to Washington National, rent a car, I'm driving to Ocean City. Passing through a little town in Maryland about 3 in the afternoon. I hadn't had anything to eat all day. I was hungry. There's a McDonald's. I like McDonald's fine. So I pull my car in. That's 3 in the afternoon. Downtime for them, right? Nobody there. I pulled in, pure coincidence. Couple of cars, couple of trucks pull in right behind me. We all get out of our vehicles, go walking into McDonald's. I was the first one in line, so I went up to the open available cash register. Visualize this. This is now McDonald's. I'm standing in front. There's 7 or 8 customers forming a line behind me. We are all at the counter waiting for the normal lightning response you get at McDonald's, because you do. How many of you tend to have this experience? You walk into a McDonald's, you are barely in the door, and some kid 50 feet away behind the counter is going, "Welcome to McDonald's, may I take your order?" And you have to walk all the way across there going, "Well, yeah, wait a minute, let me get there and see what you got." And so you get up to the counter and you look at the menu and you stand and you look and you look and you think, and then you order the same thing you've ordered for 20 years, but you want to think about it. So we're all standing at the counter waiting for the normal lightning response. And as we stand there, here's what happened. Yo. I don't know. Let me point out a couple of things. First of all, it's not that there was nobody there. As I recall, there were plenty of people in the McKitchen that day. There's 7 or 8 of them swarming around back there. Not only were they there, not only did they see us, and I bet everybody in this room has experienced this somewhere, somehow, at one time or another. Not only did they see us, they were watching us. You know the feeling? Please visualize this. You are now in line at McDonald's, waiting for the normal lightning response. On the other side of the counter are 7 or 8 kids doing stuff like this. Jimmy, check the cups. Yeah, be sure we get some more cups up here. They're looking at us! This is why I love true stories. You can't make up stuff this good. There's a big guy standing behind me, big truck driver guy. He taps me on the shoulder. I turn around and he goes, "Hey, buddy, can you see me?" I mean, I can see you. Why can't they see us? I said, I don't know. About that time, the woman in the drive-in window, I'm assuming she was the shift manager. She turns around, looks at the situation. She says, "Somebody get the counter. Michelle, get the counter." So Michelle, 16 years old, working at McDonald's, comes walking up the counter. "Walking to McDonald's, may I take your order?" I give her the order. She puts the stuff in the sack, puts it in front of me, says, "Thank you very much. Next." I said, Michelle, before I go, Me and the folks here have been kind of, talking among ourselves. On behalf of the group, Michelle, let me ask you something. This is McDonald's. I mean, you walk in McDonald's, pow, somebody takes care of you. We walked in here, Michelle, nothing. I mean, nobody even told us why we were waiting. Tell us why we're waiting. Maybe there's a good reason. That's okay. But nobody even told us that. So I guess our question is, how could that possibly happen? All this stuff going on back there and nothing going on here where the customer is. And Michelle gives me this response. Okay, sir. Okay, let me explain something to you, okay? See, we really do have a lot of things to do here besides just wait on customers. Excuse me, let me take a personal moment and just reflect on that for a second. I didn't say it, but I was so tempted to say, Michelle, go to the bank. Take some money out of your account. Go somewhere and buy a clue. And then I thought, wait a minute. I thought, that's not fair. That's not fair. Manager, what did you tell these kids was the point? What does it look like when everybody does get it? Everybody. Now, I could give you a grand, glorious, big corporate example like some of the Federal Express stories that are just wonderful and some of the other standards that are just will blow your mind with the heroism of the people. Let me give you a little story as a traveler that's probably the best example I've run into since I've been traveling. This was about 6 years ago. Now, what I'm talking about here, follow the storyline. What is the thread that connects every employee in this organization? And look how, in fact, they get it. French Quarter Hotel, Memphis, Tennessee, on Overton Square. South Central Bell called me up about 1986, 87. Said, Joe, we want you to do a series of workshops. They're going to take a week. We want you to do them in the French Quarter Hotel. Stay there, work there. I said, okay. I drove from Nashville to Memphis, found the French Quarter Hotel, not a big hotel. I got out, went up to the front door, and the story begins. The door opens up, a bellman, a doorman, takes my bag out of my hand, sticks his hand out, looks at me and says, sir, welcome to the French Quarter Hotel, the best hotel in Memphis, Tennessee. I have been worried sick about you, sir. Where have you been? I didn't know where you were. I didn't know if you were lost. I didn't know if something was wrong, but gosh, you're running late. I thought maybe I should take the hotel van and go out and look for you. I'm standing there. I had no idea what this guy was talking about. Finally, he stops, he looks at me, slaps me on the shoulder and says, Pop, just kidding around, sir. Come on in. All right, Calloway, but what's your point? I'm not sure. But I liked it. Is that worth anything to your business? You got people that work with you that the customers just like them? Or maybe, if you want to be a little more quantitative, a little more measurable, maybe it's the key is how this guy defined his job. Does he define his job in terms of A, the door, B, the bag, or C, what a radical concept, me? Maybe he thinks I'm the point. I check in at the front desk. People at the front desk were wonderful, but it gets better. I'd been in my room about 45 minutes. Knock on the door, open the door. There stands a woman in one of the housekeeping uniforms. She says, Mr. Calloway. My name is Sally. Welcome to the French Quarter Hotel. I'm head of housekeeping for the second floor. On behalf of all the employees here, I want to say two things. Number one, thank you so much for choosing this hotel. And number two, certainly if you have a problem or if there's anything we can do to make your stay more pleasant, more productive, please tell any hotel employee and it'll be taken care of. And again, I just want to thank you so much for staying here. And I'm standing there with my mouth open going, no, thank you, Sally. That was all on Sunday. Monday night, I'm having dinner in the hotel restaurant. Sitting there by myself, service door opens, busboy comes in, one of those big plastic tubs. I'd seen him a couple of times in there. He clears the table in front of mine, picks it up, and before he leaves the room, he looks at me and says, sir, excuse me, you're a guest in the hotel this week, aren't you? I said, yeah. He said, you mind if I ask you a question? I said, no, what? He said, how do you like the hotel so far? It's the busboy! At this point, I feel like saying, I love this hotel. I'm going to move here. I want to raise kids in this hotel. What I really said was, I like it a lot, and thank you for asking. Yeah, what a concept. The busboy's asking how I like the whole place. Let me cut to the chase. Wednesday night, I got to my room, there was a message. I needed to fax some information to a client in Baltimore. I write this stuff up. I go down to the front desk. I say, excuse me, do you have a fax machine that I can use? 2 desk clerks. One of them looks at her watch and says, gosh, Mr. Calloway, we've got a fax machine you are welcome to use. Let us think about this for a second. See, the fax machine is in the business office. The business office closes at 6. It's after 7 now. We don't have access to it. Our managers do, but they're both running an errand. You know, there's another manager that lives not far from here at all. Let us call her, get her down here. Happy to let you in so you can use the fax machine. I said, look, that is way too much trouble. My client, the phone company, they're just a couple blocks down, operations building, people there all the time. Let me run to my room, call my contact. I'll go down there and use theirs. Not a problem. Don't worry about it. And they're saying, are you sure? I said, look, if I can't use theirs, we'll work something out. They said, okay, let us know. So I got to get on the elevator to go up to my room and, you know, look up my contact's number and call them. As I get off the elevator, I'm walking down the hall, and a voice behind me says, sir, turn around and look, there's a guy wearing coveralls. Patch over here says maintenance. Patch over here says Barry. He comes walking up to me. He was, Jimmy, right? Jimmy, come here. Come here, I need some help here. Easiest role play you've ever done, I promise. All you got to do is stand here. Stand right there. This is Calloway. I'm Barry. He comes up to me and does this. He comes up and says, sir, I'm Barry, hotel maintenance. I was feeling kind of clever. I looked at him and said, Barry, I'm Joe, hotel guest. He was pretty cool. He goes, I like it. I like that, sir. That's a good one. Then he says, sir, I want to ask you one question. How we treating you? I said, Barry, it couldn't be much better. He says, that's what I like to hear, sir. If you need anything, let me know. And as I walked away, just an offhand remark, I said, Barry, all I need is a fax machine. I'm going to get one now. A voice behind me says, sir. Turn around and look. Barry says, sir, you've got a fax machine. Use ours. Go downstairs to the front desk. Tell them you want to use the fax machine. They'll let you in the business office and you can use it. You're welcome to use ours. I said, Barry, I've already asked them. Very nice, but they don't have access. So I'm going to use one a couple blocks away. Thanks anyway. As I walked away, a voice says, sir, out of the right-hand pocket of those coveralls, Jimmy, Barry pulls a key ring. I don't know, 600-700 keys on it. He starts flipping through it, finds the one he wants, holds it up, looks at me and goes, sir, you just got access. Come with me. So we get on the elevator. Come here, Jimmy. We get on the elevator. Assume elevator position. There you go. Now, remember, he is Joe Calloway. I'm Barry, the maintenance guy, okay? Calloway is in elevator position. Barry is in a state of agitation. He's got those keys in his hand and he's going, sir, I can't believe they said that. They don't have access. Well, maybe I don't know how you run a hotel, sir. Maybe the way you run a hotel is you get a guy like you in here for a week and you spend the week saying, oh, we can't do that. I can't get in there. That's not my job. We can't do that. But it seems to me if we spend a week telling you what we cannot do for you, that the next time you come to Memphis, you're not staying here. You're staying at the Peabody. You're staying at the Hyatt, but you're not going to stay here. Sir, I don't know what's wrong with the people on the front desk. I don't know if they need some new kind of training or what, but I'm standing there just like this guy. And inside I'm thinking, this may be the coolest thing I've ever seen. Wait, come here, Jimmy. The elevator doors open. To get to the business office, you have to walk past the desk clerks. So the doors open, and as we walk past the desk clerks, Barry holds up the key ring, looks at him and goes, access! Thanks, Jimmy. Give him a hand. The desk clerks, Jimmy, the desk clerks love it. I mean, they're high-fiving each other. They're going, of course, Barry will let him in. He goes to the business office, opens it up, dramatically opens the door, turns on the lights, and says, there it is, sir. Fire it up. I start sending my fax message. Jimmy, I'll never forget, as I'm sending that message, Barry's standing over there against the wall, looking very pleased with himself, kind of rocking back and forth on his heels. And at one point he looks at me and he says, "It's going through all right, sir? Run it through a couple more times if you want to." Take your time, sir. I get through sending the fax message. We're walking out the door, and here's where I get it. Because as we walk out the door to the business office, Barry turns off the lights, locks the doors. I look at him, and I said, "Barry, you're pretty good at making the customer happy, aren't you?" He says, "Hey, sir, that's my job. I'm in maintenance." Oh yeah, I hear that all the time. Companies like AT&T, NCR, Buick, Apollo, hopefully all of you are understanding that change in the marketplace that demands that whatever your job, your task is, if it doesn't ultimately, you may be 20 people removed from customer contact, but if it ultimately doesn't contribute to making the customer happy, don't do that job because it's irrelevant. Or there will be those that will look at you and simply just say, "Why? I mean, we've been doing okay the way we've been doing. Why should we have to change everything? Just tell me why." Then I'd refer them to my favorite philosophy of all time about anything. George Bernard Shaw, and I think ultimately this is what this conference is all about. Shaw said, "Yeah, well, some people see things as they are and say why, but I dream things that never were and say, why not?" Travel safe. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks.